Alrighty, so what we have here is the all-new iPhone 17. This is the base model coming in at $799 in the new blue colorway. We're going to be doing a quick unboxing and seeing what is inside the box and do a first impressions to see what it feels like, especially with the ProMotion display, which is a first timer on the base model iPhones. Now the overall form factor should be more or less the same as the previous generation iPhone 16 and the 15, but all of the major improvements are done internally. So we should be getting a better camera, better specs, better battery, etc, etc. So taking a look at the side over here, it just says iPhone in a color matched blue. Then we have the Apple logo on the top, and it kind of just goes all the way around. And on the back side, it shows all your specifications. So it says iPhone 17 mist blue, which is what they call this new color, and 256 gigabytes. Let's go ahead and just peel these two tabs up top. There we go. And we should be able to just open it up. There we go. So here we have the iPhone sitting right on top. I'm gonna put that aside for now. And then we have the charging cable, which is a USB-C by USB-C. Underneath it, we have your documentation in a pill-sized shape. No Apple stickers, that has been phased out a long time ago, but a very simple sort of card here, and that's pretty much it. All right, so let's pack it all up and take a look at the phone itself. The back portion has a frost finish, and it's a very grippy kind of feel, which is nice. So when you hold it, it doesn't feel slippery like the previous phones where the matte was very slippery. And we do have the dual camera setup over here. We have a main camera, which is a fusion camera, a 2-in-1. So you have the ultra wide lens along with the standard zoom, and then you have your telephoto as well. So you get all three cameras, but in the package of 2 physical sensors. The side looks more or less the same. We have your sleep wake button, your camera control button. On the left side, your volume rockers and your action switch. So very basic, same sort of layout as the previous iPhones, nothing too special there. Let's go ahead and just peel this thing off, revealing the new screen. So what we should have is a ProMotion display, which can go up to 120 Hertz, which is gonna be a little bit more fluid and a little bit more smoother when you use it. I'm gonna power it on. Hopefully it has some charge. There we go. Apple logo pops right up, and there we go with the new liquid glass design on the iOS 26. A lot of people hate it, but personally I do like this new theme on here. I've been actually rocking the iOS 26 beta ever since it came out. This is the liquid glass, as you can see. Personally, I really like the fluidity of it, and it runs pretty well. So hopefully it actually performs proper now that it's fully released. So here we go. Let's swipe up and let's go through the menu settings, which should be pretty standard with any other iPhone. English, United States. Let's see the appearances. I'm gonna leave it on the default one, which is a little bit smaller. Quick setup, I'm gonna set up without another device for the time being and continue without Wi-Fi. I'm gonna just skip through everything as quickly as possible just to get to the home screen. Eventually we'll be activating it and doing a whole bunch of more in-depth reviews, day in the lives and whatnot. But I just wanna get this thing set up and see what it's like to actually use. So now it's asking to set up an eSIM, which I will set up later. Software update to iOS 26. So maybe this is still not on the latest firmware, but I will be updating it later. So let's skip that, continue, age 18, set up later for the Face ID, passcode. Do not use passcode, don't use, do not transfer anything, agree to the terms and conditions. And I'll just click continue, not now. There's a lot of stuff to really go through on here. My goodness. Screen time, I'll let that, I'll do that. Don't share. Let's leave it on the auto display. Continue. Camera control, so then now it's teaching you how to use the little side button. Action button, same thing. You can customize all those different commands. Yada, yada, yada. Whole bunch of stuff to go through. And there we go. Finally, we have reached the very end. So we can click on get started and it should bring us to our new liquid display home screen. I remember in the early versions of the beta, this was very glitchy and ultra transparent to the point where things would actually start to look confusing. But as the updates kind of rolled out and they redesigned it, it doesn't look too bad anymore. There is a good separation between the liquid sort of transparency effect and the background. So personally, I think it works a lot better now. I don't know if I can feel a difference. It does feel really smooth with the ProMotion display. It's kind of hard to notice, to be honest, just because I'm so used to using a 16 Pro Max. So I'm already familiar with the how the ProMotion feels and looks. But if I had like a non-ProMotion display to compare it with, it'll be a much more noticeable difference. But it is very fluid. And if I go like this, I can see how better the icons move. Now the camera is recording in 24 frames per second, so it might still look choppy on camera, but in person, it definitely flows a lot better. I just want to see what iOS we are on currently. Oh, we are on iOS 26, but maybe there was a newer version that they were suggesting. I'm gonna see if I can actually put it on dark mode just for the contrast to look a little better. Just like so. I think it looks a little better on camera with a dark mode. What's cool is that we do have the always on display, which was exclusive to the Pro models in the past. So we are getting a lot of Pro features in a base model phone, which is really cool to see. Now I'm just gonna do a quick camera test here. New camera design, set up later. So if we take a closer look here, this is the standard zoom lens. Responds right away, telephoto. Wow, it actually can pick up all the little grains in the matte here. And then the ultra wide. So you get all three cameras all embedded within just two sensors here. You do have different modes here. You have your 4K, as you can see, 4K video mode, different frame rates. For the photo mode, you can click on this little icon for all of your new settings. This is pretty much everything that iOS 26 has across the board. So if you've been using a beta version, it's more or less the same. So another thing I noticed looking at the display is the borders are significantly slimmer. As you can see, look at that. Very, very thin borders, which is nice. It really fills in the full entire screen. And Apple actually advertises the iPhone 17 to actually have a screen size of 6.3 inches, and that's diagonally. Now the previous generation, the iPhone 16, has a 6.1 inch display, but it's still using the same physical form factor. So where you're getting that extra screen real estate is really just in the border. So that's what they're measuring diagonally. Now, besides the new ProMotion display and the better A19 chip, everything about the iPhone 17 is still pretty much exactly the same as the previous generation. The new chip is going to be more efficient, so you are going to have more battery life over the previous gen. So this one's rated for 30 hours of video playback, whereas the iPhone 16 is going to have 22 hours. Going back to the camera, the front-facing camera also gets an improvement to 18 megapixels with center stage, as well as stabilization. So if I'm just going to shake, it actually looks pretty smooth and pretty solid. There's a little bit of jittering, but we will be doing some more camera testing and more in-depth testing over the next few days. Now it does have an improved peak brightness, but it's kind of hard to tell. It should be able to hit 3000 nits peak brightness outdoors, and then a minimum of 1 nit. So I don't know if there's a way to actually force it to go brighter, or this is pretty much the max, because if this is the max brightness, it honestly doesn't look too different from like a previous generation Pro phone. This is the 16 Pro Max over here. This can only reach 2000 nits of brightness, whereas this can hit 3000. So to be honest, I can't really tell the difference in terms of the brightness unless I like try to get a similar looking background to compare. So I'm going to use the menus here to see if there's a difference in terms of the brightness. So they're both maxed out, as you can see. It doesn't really look any brighter than this one, to be honest. It looks fairly similar. I'm gonna turn it into light mode and see if I can tell the difference with that. Honestly, it looks like the older one is much brighter. This just looks kind of blown out. And it's not just the lighting from the camera, it's actually like the colors on here, they're kind of faded. Well, maybe because I have the theme set up a little differently. So let me actually go here, customize the theme and put on dark theme. I gotta say, the older peak 2000 nits looks better than the 3000 nits. I don't know if there's really, I don't know why that is. There's no night shift. I'm gonna turn True Tone off. Maybe that will be more consistent. Oh my gosh, hold on. So in terms of the improved brightness, I can't really tell the difference, at least in an indoor setting. Now, probably have to be outdoors to see the difference. But at least looking at the color of the displays, there is actually a different kind of hue. So the older Pro Max here has a more whitish kind of theme, like a more cooler tone, whereas this one has a bit more of a warmer tone. So I don't know if they actually changed the display technology itself, but it's a very noticeable warmer tone on the newer phone. This should be a pretty smooth and quick phone to use. I don't think it's gonna be laggy. If you're gonna game on it, if you're web browse on it, should pretty much function as any other iPhone. So there's nothing really too unique about the software aspect. The main thing I'm really curious about is to see how good the camera performs this time around, along with the battery life, if I can get a full days of use out of this. Because this is a smaller size phone, so the battery physically isn't that big. So I want to see how long it can hold up with, on a full day, putting it through some intensive tasks. But yeah, if you guys want to see more reviews over the next few days, I will be testing out multiple iPhone models, doing comparisons, performance tests, camera tests, and whatnot. So yeah, as a first impressions, I gotta say, it's pretty dang nice. I'm really happy to see that they now added ProMotion to a base model phone. This would be pretty comparable to something like a 15 Pro, because the 15 Pro has a very similar form factor and size to this, but this is significantly cheaper. So this might be a good option if you are considering getting a pro level phone that is a smaller size without having to spend the extra money for it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and a comment below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.